everyone. Welcome to WinCat Sports and back to college football. I said we would be back, talk about the year. We'll probably do one more of these for the year two, talk about a little bit too early to call schedule predictions. But we'll start with Michigan State with how the year went, right? They failed to be 500. They were 6-7 to end the year or whatever it was. 5-7 end the year. They could not beat Rutgers at the end and missed the bowl game opportunity. Biggest wins, let's see on their schedule what we can dictate as their biggest win. I don't really think they had a big one. Your biggest win might have been Maryland at the beginning of the year, 27-24, week 2. Outside of that, well, you're going to say FAU was? No. You're going to say Prairie View was? No.
No, you're right. Maryland probably is their biggest win.
Maryland, it looks like, or Iowa, 32-20.
At least they're Big Ten teams that are on your level.
So outside of that, right, you beat Purdue. You should have beat Purdue. I'd say Iowa and Maryland probably your biggest wins this year. And, they had their disappointments. They probably shouldn't have lost to Boston College early on. They probably would have started the year 4-0 there, but they couldn't. They started 3-0 and just fell off from there. And they didn't really have the best season overall, but a promising season for the future.
They're going in the right direction. That's all you can really say about Michigan State. This is an assessment year. I think Childs is going to grow into the position and get better. And quarterback play is tantamount to any success you have in the league. So, I think, like I said, even though it would have been nice for them to beat Rutgers and maybe get into a bowl, I would have liked that.
It's like Marshall, so they had their chance for a little bit. They didn't know who was going to be the bowl game at a 5-7 team because Marshall, who won the Sun Belt Conference, had to opt out of their bowl game because 30 of their players transferred, and they fired their coach.
Right.
So they had an opportunity for a quick second to go face Army in a bowl game and probably get their butt kicked by the Army, which would have been funny to see. But
5-7, you don't deserve to go to a bowl.
You don't deserve to go to a bowl game.
6-6, you
don't. They had to fill in a bowl spot. They would have played Army.
So I would have liked to have seen Michigan State, at least not have a losing record. But they're going in the right direction. Yep. That's all I can really say.
So Childs on the year, he threw for almost 2,500 yards. He threw 13 TDs for 11 interceptions. He also ran the ball for a total of 225 yards for the whole year. That's third for Michigan State in their team. Their top rusher was Lynch Adams. He ran for 649 yards. Carter ran for 499. Those are their top 2 running backs for the year. But no one really, it wasn't really that amazing of a year for Michigan State. No one really stood out for them. We'll see really overall what happens and what the future looks like for them because, next year, I might as well just pull up college football schedules so we can kind of at least talk about what we're looking at next year. But next year, you want to be a little bit better. And hopefully, that they can figure something out outside of what they did this year. So let's look at their schedule for next year. There we go, FBS schedule. So next year, this is what they're looking at. In no particular order, they're going to play Western Michigan. Well, actually, this is the order right now. Their schedule's out. Western Michigan to start the year. Then they're going to go play Boston College at home. Youngstown State for their third game. And then at USC before they have a bye week. Then they play Nebraska at Nebraska, UCLA at Indiana. They are home against Michigan. Go to Minnesota, have another break. Then they play Penn State, Iowa, and Maryland.
Does not sound like terribly tough schedule. When do they play Ohio State?
They don't play Ohio State.
Jesus.
They play Penn State.
Can't ask for a better schedule than that.
That's
to bounce
basically
back.
their toughest matchup will probably again be Michigan because your rival game is
Well, Penn
always
State.
and Penn State. And then obviously you'll see how everybody else is. But rivalry week, they don't see Michigan State as really having any rival, I guess, because
That's odd. This will be the first time they haven't played Ohio State in how long?
I don't know, but they're not playing Ohio State and they don't even have a rivalry sitting there. They're playing Maryland in rivalry week. You stop playing Penn State every year, I think is what you used to do, but don't
I think
even
we should go back to playing Michigan State in the rivalry. We push Ohio State down some. They don't deserve it, man.
I
They
don't
don't
know.
deserve it. Suck, guys, suck.
Yeah. But I mean, next year you have your chance to bounce back. You'll see how it goes. You'll see who you get in the offseason, who commits, who doesn't. Because
You had your chance, Ohio State.
Michigan State has their chance. It looks like next year.
Yeah, I mean they should bounce back, have a better than 500 record at least.
With who they're playing, yes. With who they're playing, they should bounce back next year. Moving on to Michigan and how their year went. Once this thing loads back up for me to actually see everything and get you accurate information. They actually did not have a bad year. Almost finished to exactly what you said. You said 8-5, or 8 and whatever, 8-4. They finished 7-5.
The thing is, when I said 8-4, I wasn't thinking that they would beat Ohio State or even Michigan State to a point. I thought they had a chance at that. So I thought it would be like 8-4, and losing to two of their big. It is hilarious how much that one game means.
Yes, I mean, looking at
it don't matter.
You
what
had
your record is. If
your
you
big
beat
wins.
Ohio State, your season is not a failure. It don't matter, and that's the funny thing about that game.
It kept you above 500.
Kept us above 500, but even if it hadn't, people would be ecstatic around here because we beat Ohio State.
So yeah, Michigan.
That's awesome.
And your biggest wins this year, you beat Ohio State 13-10. You beat Michigan State. You won both your rivalry games. Hell, I could even say you beat USC. Because at that point, USC was ranked 11th and you were ranked 18th.
Yeah, they had some good moments. But we all know what was wrong with Michigan. And
we all know.
It didn't change. They have to have a quarterback.
And they're trying.
Have to have somebody. And
they are trying to get that offense going again because they know if they can. Your top quarterback, you had 5 people. Well, no, 3 quarterbacks. Are they
starting a freshman next year?
I have no idea. I don't think so, though.
Well,
Orji did enter the transfer portal, so Orji is gone.
Warren's
gone. Tuttle gone.
Right.
Everybody who started this year
who's left?
Gone. Transfer portal probably is what you're going to be doing.
Who do they have?
I don't think they have it.
Do they have a quarterback? Who was that Davis guy that was on?
Davis. Davis probably would be a sophomore.
Is he going to be on the team?
He probably is.
Or is he leaving too? Also, because we signed.
Probably the guy's Bryce Underwood's not going to start next year.
Right. If Bryce Underwood isn't going to start, who is?
Probably Davis.
Well,
I would assume because you have no one else. You're going to have a sophomore quarterback starting. Because who else do you have to try? Might as well go for it.
This Davis is supposed to be at least better than what we've had.
Yes, but looking at your offensive stats, right? No quarterback threw for more than 1,000 yards. In fact, well, Warren did. He threw for 1,126. But after that, Tuttle threw for 306. Orji threw for 148 on the year. That is for the year. That is not good for a quarterback. Running wise, you did great. Mullins, he ran for 948 yards. Edwards ran for 589. And then Orji ran for 260. Outside of that, you didn't have a rusher who ran for more than 50 on the year. So your offense is what you need to fix next year, and they know that. Right. They've been trying to get. They're
going to lose a lot of defensive pieces.
They got a guy from the transfer portal. I don't know his name is, but he's a wide receiver from Indiana.
Right, the best one they had.
So there you go. You have another top wide receiver. You're losing your top tight end. You're losing your top tight end. Loveland's declared for the draft. But I mean, you held in some games. And other games against those top opponents, right? Texas, you got blown out 31-12 at home. Oregon came to your place, beat you 38-17. But again, it doesn't matter because what did you do at the end of the year? You walked into Ohio State and you beat them 13-10.
It's like, what? Was there other
And,
games? We don't need to even care. There were other games. We beat.
and you were close. And realistically, this is at the end of the year. Beginning of the year, you struggled against those good teams. And, or obviously you weren't going to beat Oregon, but you went into Indiana, who played really well this year, and it was a 5-point game. You started to figure out more towards the end of the year who you were.
Our defense was the bright spot. Our defense actually had some really good games, and they saved their best for the end. And those players who decided not to, I don't know if it was due to injury or whatever, decided not to play in the Ohio State game. You missed out on probably the greatest win of the rivalry, in my opinion.
And we will have one more game to talk about. I'll just mention it, and maybe we'll do a
pregame Alabama.
Pregame on the game if we feel like it, but we'll see. You have one more game to prove yourself. I don't expect you to do well in it, but you will be playing Alabama in a bowl game on New Year's Eve. You still get to play New Year's Eve this
and I'm
year.
Sure a lot of their players aren't playing either.
And, number 11 Alabama, you go put in a fight against them again this year or beat them in a bowl game.
Put up a win against Alabama and Ohio State in the same year. Oh!
You're going to get some trade. That's the one thing. Your Ohio State game opened the eyes for people to still transfer here, still want to come here. And it helped it helped your season or future seasons by beating Ohio State this year.
Believe me, top-notch running backs and wide receivers do not want to come to a university that don't have a quarterback who can throw it to them and make them better. They know that. They know who's going to be playing quarterback for you, and you've got to quarterback. You have to have one. We'll see. Bryce Underwood, if he stays with Michigan, could be our starter.
Mm-hmm.
He could be.
Let's look towards the future too, right? Speaking of Bryce Underwood, let's look at our schedule for next year and look at an opportunity of potential bounce back season for Michigan and maybe even trying to get back into the playoffs since it is 12 teams. You're going to start out the season against New Mexico. I mean,
win
should be a win right there. Then you're going to go to Oklahoma.
Tough.
Then you're going to go play Central Michigan at home.
Should win.
Go to Nebraska.
Should win.
Then you have a bye week. Then you're coming home to play Wisconsin. It's been a couple of years since we played Wisconsin.
We should win.
Then you're going to USC.
Tough win.
Then you're going to come home and play Washington.
Should win.
Now you're going to East Lansing.
Should win.
Now you're coming home to play Purdue.
Should win.
Now you have an off week again. You're going to go to Northwestern.
Should win.
Go to Maryland.
Should win.
Home game against Ohio State. End of the year.
That's our schedule?
That's your schedule next year.
At worst, 2 losses. Worst.
With the team you had this year, honestly, they could win most of the schedule they had this year. That's one thing also people don't realize.
We're not playing Oregon next year?
You're not playing Oregon next year. You're not playing Penn State next year.
That's an easy schedule.
You're not playing Indiana, who's up on the rise next year.
That's an easy schedule.
Your toughest games on your schedule are probably going to be USC, depending on if they bounce back next year, because they had a decent year, but then they fell off towards the end of the year. Washington, but you're at home, so that might play into your favor.
Right.
And Ohio State. And Oklahoma.
At home.
And Oklahoma. Going to Oklahoma.
I kind of see that as maybe, I don't know. That's going to be something. I don't know. That's an easy schedule. I expect 2 losses in that out of that if we can get a quarterback.
Wisconsin, they're going to try to bounce back next year too because they did not have a great year this year. I think they missed their first bowl game in like 20-something years this year.
Yeah.
So Wisconsin obviously is going to be trying to fight back. They have a good year next year. But there isn't much on your schedule. Your road games are more or less your more difficult games at USC, at Oklahoma, even at Michigan State, because again, it's a rivalry game. Anything can happen in a rivalry game. And then, those last two, I say even at Maryland, depending on how they are next year, might not be the easiest, but you have a chance to bounce back pretty easily next year.
All right.
Get some momentum going.
I'm excited. I'm
But
excited.
but
Let's
you know,
see who their quarterback is. Let's see who they have. That's the only thing I'm really into. And like I said, with college, every year people are leaving. You don't know. I don't know
No.
if our defense will be as good next year. I don't know. I don't know what's coming in or what they're excited about. But like I said, let's get that offense fixed.
Yeah.
For sure.
We'll see what ends up happening. By the way, Alabama is favored by 10 in our bowl game this year. So.
Yeah.
With all that being said, though, if you like what you see, like, comment, subscribe, share the video around. Let me know what you're thinking about both the Michigan and Michigan State season and even the bowl games, since you mentioned that, and even their schedules for next year. And until next time, see everybody soon.